Okay, then. So, first of all, thank you everyone for your interviews. I could only complete my report because of that. And I'll give you a gist about the whole project and why I did it and what were the conclusions. So, our topic was rural startups, shrinking villages. Okay, so I did it with one of my colleagues, uh, Chandraj Kale. He's not with us today. Right now, he and Professor Dr. Andrea Hellman. She is our main guide for the whole project. She couldn't be in the presentation as well, but I'll go ahead and explain to you. So basically, we did the whole project in three parts. The first part was the whole literature review, kind of like why do we need entrepreneurship in rural areas, and what is kinesis, and what do we want to do in the future stages. Then the second step was about the canvas. I think some of you know about the canvas that I was working on. And then I created the interview guideline on the basis of that canvas. And then I did the analysis. So taking the interviews when I was in Italy was part of the second stage. And the third was collecting the making the transcripts out of interview and doing the analysis on it, and finally results and the conclusions. So the main research question of the whole project was how can we foster entrepreneurship in shrinking villages? What will entrepreneurial ecosystem canvas look like for a shrinking village, basically? And these are our sub questions like what are the causes of shrinkage in rural villages that we talked about? What kind of profile is needed for stable or growing villages? And what challenges do entrepreneurs face in these areas? Also about the local culture and traditions. So going ahead, this is the entrepreneurship definition. Um, Startup ecosystem, we talked about startup ecosystem as well. It's definitely interconnected, interdependent network of different stakeholders, and how each other can support for the improvement of an entrepreneurship. So basically, this is the canvas. If you remember, I asked you different questions. They were like very elaborated questions. So those questions were generated out of this canvas as well. So this is basically entrepreneurship ecosystem canvas. It gives you an idea like what all things are needed in each sectors. You can see here that we have some terminologies like school, technical college, universities. One of the one box is about trends, one box is about politics, and all the questions that were asked in the interview were dependent on these regions or areas. So I already explained you my methodology. The whole analysis was done on the basis of the interview, and so we can go ahead. These are the interviews that I conducted. And after that, after taking interviews from all of you, I made transcript out of those. And I did a data collection on it. And then I did the analysis on it through Max QDA. It's a software used for qualitative analysis. I tried to find the similarities in all of your interview and what answers lie in which areas. And on the basis of that, I found like some very important phrases and some phrases that I can, are common in all the other interviews as well. These are just a few of those. And these are the final conclusions that I drew from the interviews. So, first conclusion that was drawn was that most of the startups in Irpinia region mainly was based on digitalization and tourism. Some of them were also based on e-learning. And most important thing for all startups or the entrepreneurship was internet connectivity. So they are adaptable in any part of the country. They just need good internet connection. Also, one of the things that was appealing for the entrepreneurial community is the fact that people want to live in the shrinking regions, or I would say like rural areas, because they want to be connected to nature, especially after COVID-19. Next thing was most of the startups focused on a national perspective. So they had like national customer focus. They focused all over the country, and they had when we talk about inspiration and local ties, they wanted to stay connected to their hometowns, as you know they had like a strong connection there, as well as they saved a lot of cost as compared to large urban areas. They definitely needed a lot of support, not just from the government, but also from the local community around them. There was a desire for more positive and encouraging environment that was lacking. Um, then we talk about infrastructure and connectivity, as most of you said that there like the infrastructure was quite good. We had good roads, we had good internet connectivity in all the parts of Irpinia, and that helped in establishment of a lot of entrepreneurship. When we talk about fundings, incubators and mentors help a lot of startups to find good, funding opportunities or funding events. And some of you also do crowdfunding, and it's one of the effective way of getting funds for your startups. Those were some of the general conclusions. The challenges that I would conclude from the interviews was there still is a lot of skepticism among a lot of residents of shrinking regions. They still think that entrepreneurship is very risk prone, and people think that there is not a lot of success in startups, especially in south of Italy or the Irpinia region. That's why people do not want to try, or they do not want to bring their ideas to actions. This also discourages the potential investors, as they think that startups are a risky area. When we talk about challenges regarding funding, the government grants are available, but due to bureaucratic hurdles, they are not accessible to everyone. And entrepreneurs are not sometimes aware about these opportunities as well. Finally, the one of the challenge was that there was limited networking opportunities. There was a lot of support seen between the startup environment, especially when we went to, for example, say ventures. People there were encouraging, everybody helped each other, but this kind of environment was lacking when we go outside. It was driven by more like jealousy and fear, and people still believe that we should not do startups and it wouldn't succeed, all those things. There were lack of networking events and the lack of seminars, especially in that particular regions. But yeah, so on the basis of those challenges and the conclusion drawn, these are the final suggestive canvas that we have created that might help the future entrepreneurs or will make it easier for them. So when we talk about school, technical, college, and university, on the basis of conclusions and interviews, we find that training programs and seminars in school to encourage entrepreneurship will be really helpful. Because if we train the youth from the very early age that entrepreneurship is not always risk prone and they should bring their ideas and put them into action, and have some boot camps for brainstorming so that students also know how they can, form their ideas into action, it will be really helpful for them. We can also have some mock startup groups where students or young adults learn how to create an idea into a big startup, and they could have like a very vibrant kind of startup culture where they share ideas, and all the myths about how risky is entrepreneurship is busted. When we talk about the policies or the political factor of the canvas, I think there should be more incentives for people who stay or who choose to stay in the shrinking areas. Some better amenity should be provided by the government, like free internet connections, for example. And we should have more channels that are directly for entrepreneurship funding, so that the bureaucracy is reduced in between and people with good ideas can directly approach or get the funding without waiting for a long time, or being afraid of how much paperwork they have to do. The end customer, I think that's already very nice. So we do not think any changes are needed in that area. There is a nationwide approach already, and we could also include international collaboration. That's one of the part we are having, international, exchange of ideas through Erasmus. Okay, when we talk about potential founders and talent pool, we can have hackathons like we had recently, and we can have more seminars based on fostering idea generating the thinking and risk taking mentality among youth. We can provide access to startup networks and raise awareness, so that students are, or young adults are also forced to think in the way how an entrepreneur thinks. Okay, when it comes to inspiration, I think we should encourage the already established entrepreneurs in shrinking regions to share their experience. Also, their motivation for staying in the shrinking regions. We should raise awareness about the advantages of living in a rural life, where everybody is just going, blindly going towards a fast-paced urban environment. We should make people aware about the benefits of living a calm, cost saving and sustainable life in rural areas. When we talk about finding and startup seed, we should focus a bit more on online ecosystem. We should have more online advisory services which tell people about resources and give consultation. Basically, we should develop like a virtual incubator so that everyone from any region can access it and they have better opportunities. They don't have to move to a bigger city to have those opportunities basically. Okay, so trends are already aligned with the ongoing trends, that is digitalization and e-learning, and the demands and product service are also aligned. That is tourism and online platforms. When we talk about participation, Unternehmen, it's a German word for participation. Startup meetup, well, we should have more startup meetups. We should have more mentorship programs, not just for the entrepreneurs, but also for the local community. Because the more support we have from the people around us, the more support people, get in their families or from their friends to do something that's risky, we'll have more and more businesses, and definitely it will increase more jobs, and it will in all increase the growth of the shrinking region. So we should have those kind of programs. We should also have some seminars on how to break, that breaks common misconception about startups, and raise awareness about shrinking villages, like we talked. When it comes to support and infrastructure, we can have more co-working spaces in shrinking regions that will facilitate cross-regional collaboration, because as we have seen that a lot of people want to stay in rural regions from urban areas so that they can live in nature, and we have work from home in a lot of companies, so people can come to these rural areas. They can work in the co-working spaces, so not only they exchange ideas, but they also exchange ideas with the local community. So these kind of co-working spaces that are nature based will attract a lot of people from urban areas, and they will have like a space to exchange ideas, and will attract entrepreneurs from across country maybe. Lastly, when we talk about business customer, we should promote more collaboration among business within shrinking regions. We should encourage the businesses to support each other, partnership, joint ventures, and shared resources. So this is the whole suggestive canvas, and that's all from my side. Again, thank you all for sharing your views and helping me design this. If you guys have any questions.
Okay, Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So yes, are there any questions? I think Nicholas was saying.
Can you go on the slide back? I would like to take a screenshot. Yeah,
which part? This one? Yeah.
Yeah, this one is perfect. So I have just a question regarding, you mentioned how to reduce the bureaucracy, like how to make sure that things are less accessible. So my question is that I didn't understand well, how do you plan to do that? Like what's the outcome?
We can only have some, what can you say, like a department just for the startup fundings, or a department in government that only deals with, startups and entrepreneurship. So that basically department has full autonomy, and they do not have to again and again go through the whole channel of funding where the people are dealing with other fundings as well. So that's one of the ideas. Obviously, it's still underdeveloped, but yeah, having some channels that make it very direct for the fund takers.
Okay, and is this like managed by the regions, the province, the European Commission? Like,
we'll have to further do research on that. It's very general idea.
Yeah, but yeah, makes sense. I think if it's done well, like in my opinion, it would be more probably like European level. If it's like organized like agency or like national level, not too local. I think
yeah. Or maybe it can also be like region wise as well, because we have specific areas that are shrinking. For example, we have the Irpinia region in Italy, we have the Harz region in Germany. So we can have particular, departments in those regions, and they are given some amount of fundings, and then they could distribute on their own without consulting the main government, like the main department, again and again. So that's the idea basically. But
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes. Hi, Princy. I want to know how we could improve international collaboration for you. Like ecosystem.
Yeah, please go ahead. I'm sorry, you were saying something like.
Capito? You didn't listen?
Sorry?
How we could improve international collaboration, okay, for you?
International collaboration that I think the entrepreneurs will have to do, like they should target not just the national consumers, but the consumers in other European regions as well. I think we have some of the colleagues who are working on international, like agriculture and international tourism. So if those things are possible, we can encourage the entrepreneurs to not just target the national customers, but the next step, I would say, would be to also target the European customers. That's the idea. I think Augustus Farm is already doing that. They are reaching out to to different European. I think they have some of the customers from Germany and Norway, I guess. They're sending their seeds there. So in that sense.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? No. Okay, so I think that also universities have an important role, as you mentioned here, or schools, yeah. And so, okay, so basically what we are doing in KiNESIS is something aligned with you, what you foresee here, or is there anything else that can be done? I mean,
so definitely KiNESIS is one of the ways that we are promoting the exchange of ideas. But when I talk about the schools and having some mentorship program, it's also in at the very basic level, like in in the schools, like I don't know, it's like the 10 standards and 11 standards at those days when people are still like the students are still growing, to have that kind of mentality that you just do not have to do some jobs. You can also have your own something. You can have your own venture. You can have your own startups, and then that thing is demystified, where okay, they have this thing that no, you should not do it because it's risky. And I think we had a discussion about this as well. So that's what I mean, like having it in schools rather than university, or not just in universities.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because for instance, in the hackathon that we had, there were students from the high school, and probably something that it's I mean, would be important to continue to have maybe a mixed environment where you have students of high schools and also startuppers, I don't know, or maybe university students all together. Because, for instance, the group that won the hackathon was kind of a mixture between students from the high school, some professionals, and also startuppers. So it was nice. Yeah,
we'll have more diversity.
Okay, and can you go back? Maybe there was another slide before that one. I also had some questions about that.
This one?
Go. No. Also the other one.
This one?
Yeah, I think it was this one. Yeah. Yes, about crowdfunding. So you see crowdfunding as a, let's say, good possibility to, because I think, I don't know, maybe I asked Vincenzo more, it's not really so widespread to have crowdfunding, right? In with startups in this.
Again, like, so these are the conclusions that are drew from the interviews. So that's not in the suggestive canvas. So these are basically the things I found from the interviews. So I think a lot of people are doing crowdfunding. So that's why I have it there in the slide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is widespread in this code, because we are startups, and we all too did crowdfunding.
Oh, okay. Oh, there is a bell ringing. Okay, I don't know. There are any other questions?
To me, all clear. Thank you, Prisci. Maybe if we can have the presentation.
Yes. And I also will send you a short questionnaire. So if you can fill it in, okay? Because we need some feedback from you about, what we are doing here.
Definitely.
Okay.
Many thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, please.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
today.
Let's stop recording. Okay, Prince.